Hey everyone, my name's Aubrey. I'm a wife, mom of two, a recovering perfectionist, a wannabe minimalist, and the queen of distraction. My typical content is based on my day-to-day life as a stay-at-home mom and my overall goal and journey to a more simplified and minimal life. Today's video is taking a little bit of a different route. Today we'll be diving into why you need to be starting your YouTube channel right now and what things you need to get things rolling as simply as possible. Through the course of this video, I'll share what's worked for me, what hasn't, and hopefully you'll learn from my mistakes. Alrighty, without further ado, let's get into it. Why start a YouTube channel? Well, first of all, you're here, so there is a slight possibility that you're seriously considering starting a YouTube channel. Whether that's a new goal or a possibility that's been churning around in your head for the last few months or maybe even years, like in my case. Now, obviously with YouTube, there's an earning potential once you're monetized. At this time, the requirements are 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours or 10 million shorts views. The amount you earn is going to vary and is based on several factors, so there really isn't a magic number. At this particular moment of time, I have made a whopping $5.22. I've been monetized for 4 days, and while that is nothing life-changing by any means, as a stay-at-home mom, that's more pay than I typically get in a 4-day period from the spare change that I find in the washer and dryer. Anyway, the watch requirements are required to be met in a 365-day period, so that is something to consider when you're planning out how frequently you're going to be posting your videos, which is something we'll get into later. Alrighty, let's chat about the big advantage that you have as we approach the beginning of the year. This is a time of year where we all have something in common. Everyone is big on resolutions and fresh starts, and there's no time like right now to take advantage of that interest. The first video I ever posted was really nothing special. My husband took the boys to the grocery store, and I just decided I was going to go for it. I think I was still in my pajamas, but I just put on some mascara real quick, propped up my phone on a stool, and sat down and talked about 10 things that I wasn't going to be buying in 2023. I posted that video on December 29th, and about 11 months later, that video has gotten me over 8,000 views, over 420 watch hours, and about 165 subscribers. It is nothing astronomical when you think of how big some YouTube channels are, but for someone who has only had their channel for less than a year and just got monetized, that feels huge. And with how that video worked out for me, a really simple idea for your first video is just to talk about your goals and dreams for the new year. And I think that topic can really be spun in so many different directions. I'll link my first video in the description below. It is so weird watching it now, just because so much has changed over the course of the last year. I've changed, I've become more confident, I've learned a ton. I feel like a mortified adult watching old family videos, but hey, we've got to start somewhere.
Hi. That was terrible. Hi.
Next, I'm going to talk about things on a little bit more of a sentimental note and less technical. This may not be a situation relatable to many of you, but bear with me. The main reason I am so thankful for starting my YouTube channel is the joy that it has brought to the creative part of my brain. From customizing my channel to video editing and shot placement, as someone who struggled for years to find a creative outlet that not only clicked with my brain, but has worked with my day-to-day life as a mom, this journey over the last several months has really just been life-changing to my soul. And there's just something about having a hobby in this phase of my life with very minimal cleanup. There's just nothing like being able to click file save when a kiddo is screaming for you from across the house. If that sounds relatable, please let me know in the comments. Let's chat. But aside from the creative side of things, the community within my channel is really nothing like I imagined it was going to be. The main reason I put off starting a YouTube channel for so long was because I thought that people were going to be mean, but that has been so far from the reality of it. I've really only gotten kindness and encouragement, and I could not be more pleased with the support that I've gotten from my subscribers. Shout out to you all. I appreciate ya. Okay, let's get into the ingredients to make your YouTube channel. Alrighty, first, let's chat about camera options. And by options, I really only mean option because there's really only one we're going to focus on today. When you start out, please don't think that you need anything fancier than just your phone. If you already have a camera that records high quality video, super. Personally, I shoot on my iPhone. It's a 12 Max Pro, I don't know, whatever it is, it works. I thought about getting a camera once I got monetized, but I just honestly don't know if I'm willing to transition away from the simplicity of using my iPhone. I've heard of people using iPhones as far back as the 8 and they've gotten great results. I actually have one video where I use footage from my old iPhone 8 that I had recorded a few years ago when I had originally wanted to start my YouTube channel, but didn't. And those video clips came out just fine. When it comes to recording on a phone, we'll talk more tips later. Alrighty, next, let's talk microphones. Personally, I don't use one. If you want to try one or think you need one for your specific filming style, go for it. For me personally, I'm content hoping for the best with my phone microphone, and so far that's worked out just fine. Almost a year later of just recording with my phone microphone, some minor hiccups resolved, and if anybody is judging me harshly for my audio quality, nobody's speaking up. Okay, next, let's talk about lighting solutions. For me, again, personally, this is not something I use. I rely solely on natural light and the lights in my house. Maybe someday I'll get something small, but again, it doesn't really feel like anything of dire importance in the setting that I'm filming in. And when it comes to lighting, I don't think that it's really that hard to figure out if it's something that you need or not in the setting that you're going to be filming in. The next item is one thing that I have invested in, and by invested in, I mean I bought the cheapest tripod that there was available on Amazon. But I will say I would do it all over again if I absolutely had to. The tripod I use, I can use like a traditional tripod where you leave it in one spot, or I can use it selfie stick style, and that has worked amazing. Like I had mentioned, my first video, I had just propped up my phone on a stool, and that worked for a time being, but I think that doing that as a long-term solution is something that would get really frustrating and kind of limiting after a period of time. So I say if you're gonna get anything, get yourself a little tripod or a big tripod. I'm not your mom. Okay, moving on, let's talk about software editing. Editing was the one thing I will tell you I was terrified. I felt like it was going to be 100% the thing that held me back from starting my YouTube channel, but now I can confidently say it is hands down one of my favorite things to do. I had found some amazing content regarding just the bare basics of using DaVinci Resolve from Casey Ferris, whose information I'll link in the description below. And after one long crash course for beginners, I for the first time actually felt confident enough to actually move forward with seriously starting my channel. Anyway, like I mentioned, DaVinci Resolve, it's an editing software. It's the only one I've ever used. I use the free version that's available. There is a version with more features that you can pay for, but personally, I don't feel like paying for something that I don't have to. If you can already tell, I'm keeping this whole thing budget friendly. And I have been more than happy and satisfied with all of the features that are available on the free version. My husband did say that to run a program like this, you need a computer with a little more than average processing power, and this isn't something that we're going to get into because this isn't something that I can even pretend to know what I'm talking about, but I'm sure that there's a video out there for that. Next, let's get into those recording settings and some tips and tricks based on my past failures. We're going to be specifically focusing on the iPhone. Android users, I can't do anything for you, but some of the same information definitely applies. First things first, let's upgrade your video quality. Go to your settings and go to your camera settings and change the way you record your video to either 4K at 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I initially was recording at 60 frames per second, but it took up way too much space on my phone, so I started recording at 30 frames per second, and that's what I've been doing the majority of the time now, and it's worked out just fine. Also, side note, don't use the selfie camera. I know it's weird not being able to see what you're recording, but you'll get used to it, and the video quality is significantly better. It gets easier, I promise. Alrighty, now that you've got your settings taken care of, let's talk about a few things to get the most out of your phone with little to no tears. First, wipe your lenses before recording. There are worse things than having a smudge on the entire clip you just recorded, but it's also nice to avoid that if we can. Number two, if you are close to an outlet while you are recording, plug your phone in. It is extremely discouraging to grab your phone after talking to it for 40 minutes and realizing it's dead. This is not the first time I've filmed this video, so this is a recent scar for me. Number three, upload to the iCloud. I honestly don't know if there's another way. I'm sure you could plug your phone into your computer like we did back in the olden days, but just having your videos automatically uploaded to your computer is such a time saver. And I say if you need to pay for the extra storage, it is totally worth it. Number four, delete your videos. There is nothing worse than going to record and getting the notification that your phone has no space. Recently, my husband took our boys camping and I spent 2 hours of my alone/filming time deleting about 6 months worth of videos. So now, as I finished a video and I've uploaded it to YouTube, I delete all of that content off of my phone. Unless there's a special clip of my kids, I'll keep those. But really, for the most part, if I really do need any of that content in the future, it is downloaded to my computer. But the important thing, it is off of my phone, not taking up unnecessary recording space. Okay, next, let's focus on actual filming. We're not going to get into anything super deep here. If you don't have a really great idea of how you plan on recording, I think it's a good idea to watch YouTube videos based around your niche just for a little bit of inspiration. I think that will help you find out what style is right for you. For me, there were quite a few creators that I was inspired by. While our content is in a similar category, it still ends up becoming very different and unique to me. Okay, again with filming, this is where your tripod is going to come in handy. I do a mix of filming. Sometimes my phone is stationary, sometimes I'm carrying it around like a selfie stick. And I have found that when you're walking around using it selfie stick style, if you put your elbow to your side and just keep it there and hold your tripod, it helps keep things stationary. And then another tip is while you're holding it, look in a mirror or a window for your reflection to make sure that you're actually in frame. When I first started filming like that pretty regularly in some weekly garden tours that I did over the course of the spring, summer, and fall, there are quite a few of my first videos where only like my chin is showing. So the moral of the story is just make sure you know what you're actually recording. Alrighty, next, let's focus on our audio quality, or lack of focus, because to be completely honest, this isn't really an area that I'm investing much energy in. Obviously, we want our viewers to hear what we're saying, and I don't really feel like I can give you too much advice since this is an area that I'm definitely cutting corners in with only using the microphone for my phone. But I will say, by doing little things like making sure cars pass before you start talking when you're outside, or avoiding having appliances running in the background, things like that do make a difference. But honestly, these are all tips that I'm guilty of not following. I'm sure you've heard traffic. My neighbors are drilling a well right now. And with the kind of content that I do create, there are several situations where my washer and dryer are running and I've got a load of dishes going. You can always tweak your audio volume or add music when you edit. Recording a voiceover from your phone can also be challenging since the microphone seems to pick up audio differently than it does when you're recording a video. I don't know why, but one thing that I've found that helps reduce echo when you are doing a voice memo is if you just like cover your head up with a blanket, or sometimes what I'll do is I'll just shove my head with my phone in like a bunch of sweaters in my closet, and that helps muffle any echo.
Just like in here is fine. Just like this, it works.
It's all absolutely ridiculous, but I do not feel like trying to figure out how to create any kind of recording studio in my closet. When it comes to adding any music to your video, I stick specifically to the free stuff that is available on YouTube Studio. It's called YouTube Creator Music. There's tons of options. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay money for. And what I stick to specifically is just like instrumental music. Okay, back to it. I had to go and pick up my little tot and bring him home for his nap time, so I had to relocate from his room. I just like the wall in there. Let's see, we were talking about music, and I was talking about YouTube Creator Studio, and what are we talking about next? Let me reference my notes. Also, it's okay to write things down. So next we are going to talk about just the last couple ideas that I wanted to add in here. First, for your thumbnail, I just take a screenshot of a certain point of my video and then I upload that to Canva and add a little pizzazz there. Again, Canva is one of those things that has a free option, but there's more shenanigans that you can pay for if you want to. I've done just fine with the free version, but you go ahead and do what you want. Another thing that I will do for the thumbnail, if I want to get a specific shot, I'll just take a short video of whatever I want the thumbnail background to be. And for whatever reason, the shape of the video is easier to make work than a picture. So, oh, also last minute thought, if you are someone like me who has a lot of ideas for your video, but you have a hard time figuring out where to place them, ChatGPT is your friend. I've done this for a few videos, and this video specifically is a situation where it really came in handy. All I did was I typed in, give me a layout for a YouTube video where I talk about this, that, and the other. I made a list of all of the points that I wanted to cover, and it organized it in a format that made sense, and I just filled in all the gaps with my talking. Okay, I think we covered all of the technical stuff, so let's get into chatting about your actual channel. First things first, consistency is key. I think it's important to be predictable whether you're posting once a week or once a month. Obviously, the more you post, the more growth you'll have, but I think it is so important to be realistic about how much time you can devote to this, because getting burnt out is not fun. For me, I schedule my posts for every Friday morning. There was a period, like I mentioned, I had done weekly garden tour videos during the gardening season, and I would upload those videos every Thursday morning, and those were videos that were simple to film, simple to edit, so it didn't really take too much extra out of me. I say if you can shoot for once a week, do that, see how it goes. If it feels like too much, maybe try every other week. Or if your creative juices are flowing and you need to create more content, just keep in mind the more you upload, the more you and your community are connecting, which in theory means faster channel growth. Next, let's talk about your niche. Now, there's a lot of conflicting information out there about whether or not you need to focus on one specific subject, or if you can branch out to different areas of interest with your content. For me, my channel is based on my life, so y'all are getting what I've got going on. Sometimes I'm cleaning or organizing, sometimes I'm baking bread, sometimes I'm making candles. And for me, this approach is working, and I think that most importantly, it's what's making me genuinely happy. Alrighty, I think it's time to wrap this up with just a few pieces of advice from a beginner. Embrace the learning curve, especially with editing. With everything, you'll find your flow over time. Things will click and you'll continuously learn from your mistakes. Most of mine I shared with you today. At first, talking to the camera feels really awkward, but you'll get over it at some point. Another important thing to remember is to engage with your community and just be kind and genuine. The internet can be a really freaking weird place. And I think one of the most important things we can do as content creators is to just create a safe place in the weird World Wide Web. And then on the topic of community, don't be upset if people don't like you. As of right now, over 250 people have unsubscribed from me, and I really at this point don't care. Obviously, subscribers matter to an extent, but it's also important to remember that you want subscribers that actually like and are watching your content. And as time passes and your channel grows and fluctuates, celebrate the small wins. A milestone is a milestone, no matter how small. Well, I think I have talked all I can talk and covered all the things I wanted to. I hope this was helpful for you if you're considering starting a channel. I personally wish I wouldn't have put it off as long as I did, but then again, the timing worked out and here we are, and I don't think I would really actually want to have it any other way. Alrighty, well, that's that. I appreciate you taking a chunk out of your day to listen to me talk. If you'd like to hang out in the future, feel free to subscribe. And if you have any questions, please, please, please leave them in the comments below. I'll try and be as helpful as I can. Well, I hope to see you in the next one. As always, I love you, have fun, and be kind.